hired someone with 5 years experience. We put them on live calls and they had no idea what they were doing. Let's talk about it. Guys, welcome back to Building Ain't Easy. My name's Dakota.
I'm Lori.
And today, the first segment, we're going to be diving deep in the sales process. If you're building a sales team or if you're building a business, actually teaching your niche and what you do, especially in under 65, like it's super different than how other people sell things. So let's talk about that. What do we see how most people sell insurance, and then what do we do different? Like, what was the problem and what was the solution?
Well, I think that it's kind of set up to be like super script, very transactional.
Like word for word.
And for us, I like to say that we're kind of mating for life. Like once we work with that client, they're going to be our client forever because we're going to do a really good job and make sure that we're always meeting their needs. But I don't think that that is the mindset of most insurance agents. I think that it's kind of a one and done situation and they sell the client and they never talk to them again. I mean, I think that's what I hear clients saying all the time. And so it's just a very transactional mindset. And I think also in this insurance game, all of these agencies are out just talking about money, 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 like, you know, Rolls Royce,
cars.
Rolex, like, let's go. And it's so...
Well, it's for like the younger 20 demo. Like that's what attracts like the college.
It also attracts just kind of a gross person. Like, what did they used to say? People like come for the income. I get that. But they
the
stay
income's the byproduct
for the culture. Yeah. Or like the income is the outcome, not the objective.
Yeah.
And I think that like that is where my heart is at. I don't think that's what I typically see in insurance. I see a lot of kind of people that are here for the money, and that's why they're focused so much on that. And it's all like big paychecks and trips and like so degrading stuff, like the chamber that blows the dollar bills around and you have to get in and you get 30 seconds to grab as much money as you can. Like there's all this kind of gamey sort of yuck-iness about it.
Yeah, 100%. So what I would typically see, like we studied a ton of agencies, right? So like life insurance, IULs, every niche kind of has like beef between the different verticals. It's kind of interesting, but that's a different pod. But anyways, the way that most pitch is and especially in health, is they follow like a word for word thing because it's the easiest way to teach people. But in under 65, when you're actually building plans for like, I feel like Medicare, there's a lot more rules, but the plans are just better in design, right? Like they cover more stuff, they cover more medications, things like that. And under 65 health, it's kind of like a free-for-all because what someone needs covered is not always in one plan. So a lot of times you're having to bundling and crafting different carriers together to meet the need.
Well, and if that's the case, just because of what our model is, you can't really follow a script so we have a pre-appointment form that goes out. If they fill that out and they give us some details about what is happening, I might have some idea where this is probably going to go. Like I can pretty much read it and say like, I'm going to pitch this and this and this. Like these are the things I'm going to introduce them to. But most of the time, especially with leads, you get on the call and you've never talked to the person before. You have no idea what their situation is. It's very hard to have a script.
Well, you can have categories. It's just, it can't be like a word for word because there's probably 100 different situations that come up. And so you can't like paint it's going to cover this medication or cover this. You can give pathways, but a lot of new agents, they need a word for word.
Well, especially if they came from Medicare, right?
That's
because
the biggest
Medicare has to be very scripted and you have to read a lot of things verbatim to take a client down a Medicare journey. And so when you get people that are coming from that environment and then they go to U65 and it's a little bit more of, I don't want to say it's a free-for-all, but it's just, you can flex more.
Well, it's just the other hard part of it is what people are asking for in Medicare can most times be solved by the product. I would say 80-90% of the time. The way insurance works is it's on a formulary. Most meds are covered. Medicare supplements. There's any doctor you can go to. Medicare. There's Medicare Advantage PPOs, which that means you can just pick your doctor. In U65, what people want doesn't always exist, probably like 50% of the time. So it's framing them and actually showing them the options and showing them what is possible. Because a lot of people who are 20, 40, 50, 60, they're used to group insurance, which does pay pretty much everything. And individual plans don't do that. And so it's a lot of educating and then putting pieces together on what's actually important for them.
So I disagree. I don't think that...
You don't think so?
I don't think that group plans pay everything. I think when you're on a group plan, you're in a different mentality, because I think that their plans pay just as much or as little as any other plan does. It's understanding how the parts of your plan work. But I think that the issue is that people think their group plan is the best thing ever, because when they had their group plan, they didn't have any other options. Like these were the options, as they had to deal with it, whether or not, and they were kind of just happy to have coverage. And actually, when they get out and they see that you can kind of customize a private option to really only cover what you need it to, and you start to really get educated on how insurance actually works, it's a different story. So I think that,
Well, let me go deeper. Okay, let me give you more context. So, okay, for example, the reason people shop 40, 50, 60% of the time for an under 65 plan is because they, outside of losing it with work, is because they're in pain, right? Meaning, I need this medication covered, it's $1,000 a month. I need a surgery. I'm delivering. My doctor went outside the network and now I can't see them, and that's super frustrating, right? In a group insurance world, 95, 99% of all the group plans out there, if you need a surgery or have an expensive medication, most times the group plan will cover it. In individual land, if it's a pre-existing condition or super expensive and they're outside the marketplace, the private plans won't cover it because they need to be on a marketplace equivalent plan, right? And so that's where I'm coming from on this, is like the real need of like, oh, I want someone else to pay for this thing right away. A lot of times isn't a thing, because that's how individual plans work. Private companies aren't just going to pay for everybody's thing. And so when you're doing marketing, like when you're putting out, hey, do you need health insurance? It attracts. You have to really, and this is a behind the scenes unlock, which we'll talk about later in this pod, but you have to do very creative marketing, because you attract the people that are in the most amount of pain. And as a brokerage, we don't control the product. We're just helping people source the product, and the product doesn't exist for what they need. So you have to like walk them through all their options to get it.
Or if it existed, like the things that people come at you with, if that perfect plan existed, it'd be 10 grand a month.
Yeah.
Like it would be so much
but people
money.
don't understand. That's what I'm saying. People don't understand that. Like they don't understand like the cost. Like they expect it's weird versus like car insurance. It's like health. It's like we're framed as Americans. This is a hot take. Hashtag Donald Trump. Someone else should pay for our stuff. You know, like that's what it feels like. Like that. Oh, I'm going to pay this, and then everything else should be covered.
Well, that's every country though. Like you hear Canadians talk about like, oh, our healthcare is the best, and then.
But then you pay like 40, 50% in taxes, right?
Right. Yeah, so I mean,
there's always a catch.
It's all going to come out in the wash. Like
there's always a catch.
You're always going. But do I think American healthcare is broken? I do. But also, I'm not moving to another country. So like, what are we going to do?
Yeah, we got to figure it out.
What are we going to do? So.
Yeah, 100%. So what do we teach? Like, what is the difference if someone's building a sales team here in under 65 versus other? We hire a lot of salespeople, but I would say the difference is you really have to listen to people. Like, I think a lot of sales organizations, obviously, like that's the first part is listening, but a lot of salespeople just want to talk. I'm the best. We got this. But like really what moves a sales conversation is listening and understanding someone.
Well, people are so uncomfortable with silence that they try to fill it. And like, if you can get a person to talk, they're going to probably give you the roadmap. Like they're not going to, like they're going to give it all up if you just give them space to do it.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of us feel really uncomfortable with the silence. And so we try to fill it up real quick. But really just find yourself, like, just be quiet. And what is it? What's the saying I told you, that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth?
Yeah,
like
100%.
We all talk way too much. We should listen more. We're always waiting for our turn to speak, and just sometimes being quiet and like sitting with it. Like, well, that can't be supported with a super transactional, script driven transaction. Because you have a script that you're like poised, you're trained to just like run through all of it.
Well, script is like the foundation, but like there's like a lot of stuff that happens within the call, and like you just have to have a intellect to be able to like navigate through that, and like
it's like be careful what you wish for, right? So like our model is very different. So most agencies are going to have a carrier that they're supporting, that they're kind of pushing everyone toward this one carrier. So it can be a lot more transactional and script driven because it's one product, right? They're going to say the same thing every time, because no matter what the client brings at them, they're bringing them this one product, right? Where ours is like, be careful what you wish for, because it's great to have all of this product, but it means you have to have so much more product knowledge. You have to know when each plan does the right thing. And so it is a more sophisticated process. And I think because of how we've designed this thing, it can't be as transactional or script
It
driven.
means we need to hire into like people that, not to be mean, but people that can like, who like that advisor game.
Well,
versus
and more importantly, like this was part of our journey as well, right? Like in the beginning, we were giving them all of our breadth of products and they were spinning out because it's way too much. And I can remember this, like when we first transitioned to being brokers, and you'll remember we were in an office at the time, and you would come up to me and just be like, Lori, this isn't like you. You seem so overwhelmed. Like, what's going on? And I would say, I don't know how to sort through all these products and like what I'm supposed to sell and what they each mean. So like if who had had a pretty good career with that captive agency, if I was struggling with that, can you imagine being brand new to insurance completely and like having that much information dumped on you? So we did not set people up for success. So then we pulled it back and we said, we're going to give them 2 product category, 2 like different pitches that really will meet the needs of 95% of the people that they encounter. Like they can fit them into one of these 2 boxes and it will meet most of the requirements, and then we'll go from there. And so we pulled back, and then like as they got to really get into that one product line, and then once they had that one product line we could down pat, we could kind of layer more things on. But the issue with that is they're in a sales environment with other agents that have access to products they don't yet.
Yep.
And so they start to see like, well, this is getting pitched over and over again, or this is what they keep putting people on. I don't have access to that. And then they get in their own head too about it. They're like, well, I can't do something to the best of my ability because I don't have access to the products that would allow me whatever. So, it's constantly a learning. It's a work in progress, but like that's part of what we've had to deal with in this journey is
100%. So I would say it's listening. I mean, really what our frameworks that we like teach around sales, just like a quick, like if you're building a sales team, and of course it could like be different like per niche that you guys are in, who's ever watching this, is doing like a really good intro. Because like we drive a lot of inbound calls, and a lot of people who are calling in, they think they're going to be calling into like a customer service person who's like from another country. No shade again if you're in another country. But we want to like have a really strong intro to like let them know that we're not just a customer. We're going to like help them solve their problem, right? And so that's like through injury. So it's funny, we did a morning huddle the other day. You talk about this, where we like role played like really strong intro. What was your experience with that? Like some of the agents on, what were they doing right and what were they doing?
I mean, I think that, so as a new agent, you get very caught up in what are the exact right words to say to the person that I'm talking to. And really, honestly, the reality is the words at the beginning don't matter. Like it doesn't matter as long as you can get to an open-ended question that gets them talking to you about the situation.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you say at the beginning. And I think new agents kind of put this roadblock in their own way because they think that they put so much importance on everything that they're doing because they're brand new, and I did it, you did it, we all do it. But the reality is, like, let me just save you the time. It really does not matter. You could say like, I am Lori with NASA and I am here to help with your health insurance. Let's talk about it. What's going on with health insurance? How can I help? It does not matter the organization I list. It doesn't matter what I say my name is. It doesn't matter, like, we had kind of a fun contest.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Over this week, right? Where you got to try to make insurance fun. It's not fun, and you got to try to bring the fun to it. And so we inserted, I guess this is like a Super Troopers kind of thing. I don't know. I've never seen Super Troopers, but somebody said this to me, where we gave a word and we said, like, you've got to try to use this word in all of your transactions, or as many as you can. And we're going to give a prize to the person who is able to drop the word. And it was kind of an easy layup word. It was boogie. Like we were going to like boogie on over to look at products or boogie on to the screen share, whatever. So it was just kind of a fun way. But the funny thing was you were probably one of the top ones to use the word multiple times. And I asked you, Dakota, is it your same strategy? So whenever you run into a name that you don't know for sure how to pronounce it,
100%.
Your strategy is just to say it really fast and get past it. And which goes to show, again, doesn't really matter what you say. It's really about the energy, the inflection, the authority with which you say it, right? And so I think for a new agent, you think that there's so much importance on every single thing you say. And the reality is you could say stuff that was nonsense, but if you were confident about it, had good energy and good inflection, it wouldn't matter.
It would
The
land.
conversation would still go on, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, people work it up in their head, and it's really just about the energy. But it's crazy. We kind of had a sales unlock. We were doing this like intro training because intro for a salesperson is the best. That's the most impact you will have on the amount of sales that you have, because if it's the top part of your sales funnel, right? From what you can control. So if you get 2, 3, 4, 5 amount of people through the intro, you will sell 2, 3, 4 times the amount of insurance. And so we were training on it, and some of these people, like, we had to have them, or recommended they stand up because their energy was just not there. What was the energy? Like, some people were delivering?
Well, it's just flat. I mean, like, I said this in retail too. Like, I think it's true in all sales environments. Like, if you're not excited about your product, why on earth would your client be?
Yeah.
So when you're going into a call, hi, this is Lori with the Benefits Boss. How can I help with insurance? If you're not excited about what you're doing, I can't, as the client, be expected to bring the energy, right? Like, and I answer the phone the same way every time. In fact, when we worked in an office, like I project, I'm very loud, I'm confident in like my speech. And so there would be people constantly complaining, like, who is the girl in the background? Like, she's so loud. And like, I'm not apologizing for it. I'm excited about what I do. I got to keep them on the phone. And I also sold the most. So like, maybe there was something to it. The fact that I was confident about it, had good inflection and good tone.
Yeah.
But I always say the same thing. And again, it doesn't matter what I say. It just doesn't matter. I could say, you could hit me with a really stupid intro and I could still make it land because it's about the energy. But I'll just say like, hi, this is Lori with, the Benefits Boss. How can I help today? What's going on with insurance? How can we help? Like it so doesn't matter what I say as long as I get to some kind of open-ended
100%. But I think on the flip side, it's like and this is something I did like 8-10 years ago, was you don't want to yell. You don't want to like some sales tactics is like, I'll do it, but it's really cringy. It's like, hello, like this is Dakota. It's so like, you don't want to come off with such a cheesy, like, you don't want to go on the flip side of that, right? Like, you want to find a good inflection, good tone, but not scream at people. And so I think some people struggle with that. They're like, whoa, chill, bud.
But, if we hadn't gotten, like, at a micro level to look at what these people were bringing and do it on a huddle, we wouldn't really have had line of sight to where they had opportunities. So it was a good activity to do together. And I just kept running around the room like, okay, give me your intro. Okay, give me your intro. And it just was like a really quick hit thing to give them. Yeah,
this is a really big unlock if you guys are building a sales team that we've learned, is that you need like a morning start off, like a morning kickoff, like we call it a morning huddle. And like you could go super deep in all of the behind scenes stuff, which we get passionate about, more me, I would say, on that. But that doesn't help them sell more for a sales team. What helps them more, and this is why it's so hard on virtually, is they need like literally like 1,000 feedback loops to hear something, implement, hear something, implement, hear something, implement, hear something, implement. And they also need the motivation. Like, sales is like one of the only departments, maybe others more, but I would say sales is the most. If the team is not inspired, it crashes out. Like in more marketing, accounting, like all like operations, if the team's not inspired, they can still go do the task. In sales, if you're not inspired and can lead somebody, you'll have reps crash out, and so you have to like keep them motivated and get them through these freaking feedback loops. And it's so hard to do virtually. Like, we brought in a software called Gather, no affiliate link, but it's better than Zoom. Like, you have like, it's like a virtual office that you bring in. And that's the beauty of building a team in person, is you're asking people to do uncomfortable stuff. And so you need these feedback loops of hearing and implementing. And it takes a lot of work.
So let's transition. Let's talk about behind the scenes.
Talk
to me about marketing.
Yeah. So one of the biggest unlocks that we've had in marketing, if you guys are building a marketing team, is this is like, again, our try 4, if you guys have been following the series on this. I feel like we've done it the best way we've known how to. And of course, on the last pod, we definitely had some fallouts from that, from someone leaving and like being overjobbed and all that situation. But I feel like we're trying to go about the best way, and it's a thing. But some of the unlocks with actually like executing is, this is what I thought previously before leaving this. I thought, okay, because we've never had this before, if we have really good creatives, which mean ads, like video ads that are highly edited, that like have a good flow and good hook, body, story, call to action, and like retargeting, like we do like 50, 100 pieces of content around this, and we have like a really clean funnel with our branding and like reviews and social proofing and like built up and like to like drive in calls and leads, we would be set. That's what I thought, right? I was like, if we have this and the tech is working, we're gonna freaking crush. That's what I thought going into this. And what the unlock that I had is, yes, creatives and funnels are an unlock, but you could have, and we have it even in our Meta accounts, like we're advertising on Meta and Google. In those platforms, you have different ad accounts, and you could have the same creative and the same funnels, but you will get wildly different results per ad account, even in the same general account. Because the most important piece to it is the pixel data feeding the algorithm of Meta, Google, whatever channel you're in, and it targeting the right people. If you put the wrong person in front of the best creative and the best funnel, it will not convert. And insurance, like what we sell, health insurance, is really only bought out of pain. Like no one is scrolling Meta coldly or on Google and being like, frick, dude, I really want to buy some health insurance today. Like that's not a thing, right? It's out of pain. It's like lost a job or you lost your plan or medications or all the stuff that we talk about on the pod. And so on the flip side, if you have the right person in a lot of pain, but the worst creative and the worst funnel, they'll have a higher chance of converting because they're in pain and they need a solution. Right? And so that's been a big unlock is like, how do we because we've spent tens of thousands on creatives and funnels and it hasn't been backing out. And it's about feeding the pixel data to teach the algorithm to find the right person so you get in and you go. And so that's taken about 3 months to learn. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So that's the first unlock. The second unlock, here's some more. We're giving all the secrets away today, okay? Is the thought with ads was to build, like we're using all these other marketing sources, which are driving in a ton of lead flow for our agency. Like 40, 50,000 people are coming through different funnels. That's a lot of traffic that we're getting from partnership deals that we set up. And the hope with this marketing team is to build trust, which is why we're making organic content, right? So, candidly, if you guys are watching this, you guys need health insurance. We want you guys to know, like, and trust us before you talk to us, right? That's why we're doing content. But also, it's fun. Content's a good time. But with ads, like we're spending all this money on ads and all this different stuff, but ads don't build the trust. Like if someone books a time with you or comes in on your site from an ad, they don't know, like, or trust us yet. They're still like shopping other people out there because they just saw a 20, 30-second ad and spent a couple minutes on a website, right? Like they don't know us yet. And so that was a big unlock. I'm like, oh, we're not going to get the marketing quality to where we need to just based on paid ads. We need to mix content in there on a lot of content to retarget people before they come to us so they know, like, and trust us, and also find us organically on all these different platforms out there. And so that's been a big unlock. I was like, oh, we're just going to run ads. It's going to be great. It's not going to be great. It'll be better. But there's a lot that goes into that. And so those are some unlocks that I'm having as we're building this team out there.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like by far our biggest expense is marketing.
Yeah.
And it's constantly
Marketing and tech, yeah.
But doesn't it feel so different to like work something that came in organically versus a lead who you're busy trying to prove yourself against every other.
1,000,000%. And that's what we're really trying to crack. But it's, if you guys are building a marketing team out there, it's challenging. Like it is a thing. And to feed a whole sales team of 1099 agents, which is, listen to some of our pods about the recruiting journey and getting the right agents in. But you have to feed, and I'm not trying to say this bad if like you're a customer watching this, like we train our people really, really good and stuff like that. But there's a difference between month 1 agent and like a 2-year agent. Like it is a different experience. The month 1 agent can still solve the problem and help out. But it's like we are, to get the hundreds of like we just talked about sales, to get the hundreds of feedback loops, they have to go through hundreds of conversations with someone. And so you're sending your organic traffic in. We'll have to come to a point where it's up to dividing the traffic. So that way the people that come and know our brand get the best experience possible. I'm not saying that you're going to get a bad experience. It's just we want to provide the most experience, which needs to be our best agents.
Well, it's just is more efficient too because they've already come and bought you. Like when they come in and they know you, you don't have to spend all the time like proving who you are. Like sometimes I'll get on with these lead people and they're so funny because they don't know you. And you know what you bring to the table and it's going to be great. But they don't, you got to try to convince them. And so they come in with, well, I'm talking to several people. And, I had one today where he was like, well, I'm talking to this company and this company and this company. Like they're kind of like flexing, like you're going to have to like earn, you're going to have to do better than them. You're going to have to earn. And like, honestly, every company that he told me he was talking to, they were like private options, which is not at all where, in my professional opinion, this person needed to be. Those were obviously people that were captive agents for whatever, and they were selling him a private plan. But really, the answer is he needed to be on a subsidized healthcare plan and have supplements. Like that was going to be the way to get him the most coverage and stretch his dollar.
Yeah.
And no one had showed him that. And you're just like,
wow.
So at the end, he's like, the walls were bore down because like I had done my job. And sometimes I'll say like, well, I think we did good work here today. Like, how do you feel? Because you have to, again, kind of reframe them all the time throughout, because as soon as they get off the phone with you, they're going to lose sight of the fact like of what you just accomplished and how I know when I get off that phone, what we just accomplished, you were probably not going to get as great a solution from most people you talk to. I know that. But like you have to kind of remind them along the way too, right? But it's just such a different experience. And there are times when like leads will come in and I'll say like, they'll like, like, well, I'm not just buying. I'm not ready to buy today. Like they start to like give you all these like, like resistance stuff, right? And then you're like, well, did I do it? How did I do? Did I do my job? Like, do you feel good about this? Like, you have to kind of remind them because people just
get buyer's remorse. And like it's hard with insurance because it's like not real, so you have to like make it real. Like it's a piece of paper that's supposed to pay for their stuff.
It's not tangible.
It's not tangible. Yeah, it is real. It's not tangible with right away with a card in their hand and they can see it and stuff. And so it's a situation. So that is some of the unlocks in marketing. But I just give you guys, if you guys have any comments down below that, like let us know. The third part we're going to talk about today is a customer story, right?
Oh my
because like AI is going so fast out there, right? Like there's voice that we use a lot of AI in our agency, but people are buying things with AI. I know when I'm buying things, I'm putting it through Claude, like putting it through GPT and like getting recommendations and like making sure it's like how a lot of people are shopping for things. And so here's a story of something that happened early in the week. One of my calls that I helped someone out with. So this guy was 67, 68, somewhere in that range. So a little bit on the older side. So this was like, not saying anybody in their 60s is super old, but just older on the AI. A lot of 20, 30, 40s are hitting AI versus 60, 70s. So I was really surprised. So that shows that it's transcending. Shopping for his wife. And their story was that they were paying like $1,500 a month just for her on a marketplace. They were in Florida. Florida is one of the most expensive states. Shout out Florida if you live there. For health, Florida Blue's crazy. They were on a Florida Blue plan. They're paying a lot. And he's like, dude, she's healthy. I don't want to pay $1,500. Is there better options? And so what she qualified for was like a private plan, what's called a benefit plan. So they zero out the deductible. They give benefits up front. You pay last. There's some caps in there, but like on private plans, like what they put on the brochure is if it's outside marketplace is like, hey, this is a supplement plan. It's not part of like the marketplace. Like they're by law, they're required to put these disclosures on these docs, right? But the price range she wanted was like in the 400, 500, 600 range for someone in their 63, 64. That was his wife's age. And so that's going to be the only place you could find that price range inside of that range there. And so we get through it. He feels good with it. And we customize the plan, all the stuff. And he's like, hold on a second there, kiddo. He didn't call me kiddo. I'm paraphrasing. He's like, hold on a second. He goes, I want you to send me these docs and I want to put them in my AI bot. I want to like ask if it's good before I sign up for this. I've never had this happen on a call before. I've never had someone like, we're done. It's like 30 minutes on the call. He like stops it and is like, hey, I want to like check it. I'm like, hey, we can totally do that. Like, that's totally cool. Like, I didn't know if you want me to send an email and come back to it. So I just wanted to like give him some advice here. I was like, hey, we can totally do that. I can send these docs to you. But I was like, I use a lot. I'm still on the screen share. So I pull up my Claude account, right? And I'm like, I love AI, just so you know. Like, AI is it. I got you. You can totally do this. But if you upload this to AI, it's going to say this plan's terrible. Because the way AI works is it goes and like looks at all the different articles out there and like researches things and then like gives you a census. Like, it's not actually thinking. It looks like it's thinking, but it's just researching and like putting things together and then like giving you a thing. I was like, if you just upload this and be like, hey, is this plan good or not? It's going to say it's terrible because it's a private plan and it's outside the marketplace and it has disclosures on the docs that it's a private plan. I was like, you need to prompt and tell your whole story. Like, hey, I was paying $1,500 on this Florida Blue plan, and then I want a better plan, but I want this price range. Is this thing good? Da, 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 da. He went and uploaded it, but he didn't prompt it the way I was recommending. He said, is it good? And he's like, hey, it came back and it said it was a supplemental plan and this and that and this and that. I was like, yeah, exactly, right? That's what it's going to say because it's outside the marketplace, right? And there are holes in it, but we put other things in there to cover up the gaps. And he ended up buying the plan. We like walked through it and like I helped him out and stuff. But I was like, wow, that was such.
Thank you so much, Lori.
Well, there we go, right? That was a really interesting experience that I went through. Like one, that this is how people are buying is just AI, which I thought was super interesting. You know, like this is where the world's going. Like people are not just buying things, like they're not just Googling things or AIing things to like see if it's good. But two, AI doesn't know everything, right? And especially in insurance, they're just reading articles, and all the like most articles you read say private plans aren't it because some of them don't cover pre-existing, but then the prices are so high that doesn't make sense for people. So what's your take on that story?
I think it's another example of the deal was saved because you have experience.
Yeah.
Like if a brand new agent would have had that objection and they would have sent it, they would have been completely cooked and like it would have been over, right?
Yeah.
So it's just very interesting to me, like how we have to adapt. But AI is wrong a lot. I mean, like I am leaning into it. We're using it. There are things that definitely makes it easier for, and it helped us with the recruiting deck But I do think like the thing about AI is it's largely doing its work based on the prompts. That's why they say you have to like go in and tell your AI, don't just give me what I want to hear, because your AI learns to think like you.
Especially GPT, it's a very yes man situation.
Well, and it's just learning to think like you, so it's going to try to be aligned with you and give you what you want. And you know, I've done contests and different like Kahoots and things that AI completely got the answer wrong. So like, it's not foolproof. Like the problem that I think with AI, that I think with kind of all technology, like it's kind of making us lesser humans. Just, it gives us superpowers in some ways, but it's also making us kind of lazy. Is that like, it's not that people are going to go and give it to AI and then they're still going to do their own research or they're going to make their own assumption. They are going to put it in AI and do whatever AI says instead of going and actually learning it. And that's is scary. Dangerous as well,
Super
right?
Dangerous, yeah.
And I think about like, you know, I took my daughter's phone away from her this week. She got in some trouble, took her phone away.
Uh-oh.
And she was trying really hard to get it back the whole week. And she's like...
You took it for the whole week?
Yeah.
Whoa,
and
that's
I was
crazy.
Like,
not a day,
I was
week?
Like... Okay.
That's a hot parenting take. Put it in the comments below if that's your parent.
Take that phone, baby. Take that phone. And she's like, well, I would normally be able to call grandma when I'm done with this thing, but I won't have my phone. And I said, Izzy, all I can tell you is I was 12 once and I didn't have a phone and I made it through just fine. Because like it's kind of, technology's it's making us superhuman in some ways, and it's also ruining us in so many ways.
The brain rotting's crazy.
Yeah, we don't even try. We just like very lazily, and that is my fear, is that people will just put it in AI. They won't do their own research. They will go with whatever AI says, and then they will call it a day. And that's not good. That's not a good solution either.
Yeah, so that is pretty crazy, but that's how people are buying things, and that even for someone who was on the older side, he was using that. And so I feel like it's just going to become every generation going forward is going to like go into this. And so I don't know, man. But then also from a sales tactic, you're absolutely right. Like if you're teaching a sales team, that might be a new objection to overcome. Like, oh, I'm going to put this in an AI. Like, okay, you're selling solar, you're selling real estate. So I was watching this real estate broker, Ryan Sternhat, great social following. Shout out Ryan. Don't know you, but want to know you. And he or one of his agents, because he has a ton of agents now, he runs one of the biggest brokerages in real estate, was selling like a $50 million deal. And like both the buyer and the seller both went on GPT and were like, should I do this deal? Or should I sell it? So the seller was like, should I sell it for $50 million? And AI said, you should sell for more. And the buyer said, should I buy it for $50 million? And the AI said, you should buy it for less. Right? And the AI gave for the same exact deal, like 2 different opinions. And he had to like coach them through. And I think they ended up doing the deal or what. But like people, like you said, even people that are wealthier are just, for a $50 million deal, that's a lot. That's a very high impact person, are being led by this artificial intelligence. And we're probably going to become a society that's so adapt that, people are just like, it could say anything and people are going to believe it because it's like this other social proof that's like, oh, that's right, like that's so.
Well, even that the
That's
guy that I was
crazy.
talking to today that was like, I'm talking to this company and this company, and I said, he goes, well, but the plans that they were showing me were $0 no deductible at all. And I was like, I said, I completely understand, but you just don't really understand what you're purchasing. And I'm okay with it either way, but like there's a lot that you don't understand about your plans. And so I even went in and did a Claude, like, what's the difference between an indemnity plan and major medical? And let Claude give the answer. And I sent that to the client because I'm like, you don't even know
Yeah.
what to feed into it to give you the answer. And before you travel this road, like there's a reason that you and your wife in your 60s are getting a plan, like they're presenting a plan that's $800 to you. There's a reason. There are some big holes that, again, if you make the informed decision, I'm okay with it. But you really don't understand what you're buying. And so let me try to help you. And honestly, the guy should have been on the marketplace with a subsidized plan and supplements to fill in the gaps. And it was going to cut the number way down and it was going to give him a different level of protection that he just didn't really understand what everybody else was showing him.
And that's the scary thing about insurance is like people don't understand what they're buying, and salespeople can frame plans in any way, like the energy and the way the information they release. And so people don't understand what they're buying, and when they buy, it's too late when something happens if it wasn't right. And so it's really about the team you work with, because how do I say this? A good agent a good salesperson can make any plan sound good. But if it's not right for your situation, then it's catastrophic.
And a good agent, the flip side is a good agent doesn't have to hide behind the details. Like they're not hiding behind hoping you don't stumble upon the actual details of the plan. They're going to, like for me, I said, I'm fine. I can talk to you about indemnity and why it's a good thing. And I can talk to you about a major medical and why it's a good thing. And like, I'm ready to go either way. So I wasn't uncomfortable showing him exactly what the differences were, because I understand product enough and how insurance works that I'm just going to call it out before you even know it's an objection. And that's what a good agent isn't going to run from it. They're going to probably put it out on Front Street, right? Because they're not intimidated by it. The reason that so many agents are out there trying to one call close is, again, they're super transactional. They're not really invested in the best outcome for the client. They just want it to be done, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't want to leave you with the literature because they don't want you picking it apart. They want you to sign on the dotted line so they can go find the next person, right? I've never really, like, again, because I'm fortunate that my pipeline is full enough that I don't have to close any deal right then. Like, I can give people time. And that's part of my like brand, right? Like I'm super like, no pressure. We can do it. Like these are the deadlines the insurance company has, but I'll give you whatever you want to read. I only want to send you what you have interest in. I don't want to like muddy the waters with too much information. But like, I'm not afraid to send a brochure because I've gone over what they need to know. I've answered whatever question, and like that's a good agent is someone who's not afraid of answering the questions, but there are so many out there. And if you feel this, like as a consumer, if you're out and you feel like, always go with your gut. If you feel like they're pressuring you or giving you the hard sell or really trying to like push you into making a decision, then go with your gut. There's a reason for that. There's something to that, right? And it shouldn't be a pressure situation. And it should be, why our model is my favorite model, because it's very educational and it's like trying to give them information so they can make an informed decision.
Help and serve, yeah.
And that
but
feels
guys
better.
is a mess. Yeah, but it's the healthcare and insurance world's so confusing that like you would really have to like spend like 5, 10, 20 hours to like understand these different terms and like why is a network, and then like the TPA, and then the carrier, then the reinsurance, then like this, that, like all these different pieces, the formulary. And so yeah, I feel for a lot of people out there. People are making. We did a called a VSL, like a video sales letter, and like one of the copy was really good. Like either we put this, our marketing, or we comboed it with AI, but it was like people spend 10 minutes on a website making a decision when it impacts them their whole life, and that's so freaking true. Especially in these calls, like I was teaching an agent on like different, how to frame different stuff and like not sales tactics to sell stuff, but to like just educate people. I was like, hey, like how how you explain something is really, really, really important, because once someone finishes the transaction, they're done. Like, I just bought pest control, right? And so I was out running errands, and we just moved in this house, and I went on Google, found a good company that looked at the reviews, found branding, and called, and it was like a year deal, and I did it like in 10 minutes. 2 hours later, someone knocked at my door for like door-to-door sales selling pest control. I was like, bro, I already got it. I'm good. I'm done. And I think I made the best decision in pest control, but I don't know all the different, chemicals and different stuff and like all the different pest control tactics out there. But in my mind, I made a good decision. I'm done. With these people, a lot of times they think they're making a good decision because it was framed a certain way, but they don't know what they bought. And it's way more catastrophic than pest control because it's their lives. And then they get wrecked. And so like you have to like help people get through this and like show them, because they might be in a really bad situation and they don't know it.
Yeah.
So it's a situation.
Well, you want to talk about someone who didn't want our help?
Oh, you want to do this on this call? You want to do this one?
Yeah.
You want to play one? Okay, yeah, let's do it. So we got a second person. Give some context around this.
So this is another one, and I what would be my title for this would be like so let me just say, we all have a little bit of Karen in us. Like every one of us can kind of go Karen on the situation.
Call it the
a couple moms, like, in the same venue, like you can definitely like both turn Karen in the situation. But this person, this was kind of crazy. This was a lead that came in, and I called and showed up for the appointment, and she was just, I would say we're all a little bit unhinged. Like you never know what people are going through, and you never know what's going to set them off. I think that this person went really dark really fast for like not any reason. And it was just such an interesting call. And I let it go on for like a minute, and then I just kind of shut it down. I'm like, you don't actually need my help. You are just, we'll listen to it. It was, and then it goes on and like some texting after that. And it's just like, it was a crazy encounter. So, and she cusses at me at the end. So like, it's quite a thing. So.
Oh, it's Emily.
Hey, Emily, it's Lori with the Benefits Boss. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you. Is this still a good time?
Yes.
All right, girl. Tell me what's going on. How can I be of assistance to you?
My husband recently got laid off, and so we are looking at, the COBRA insurance that they sent us. And I'm a 1099 contractor, so I can get insurance through my company, but it's also very expensive. So when I saw this, I thought, hey, I'll just have a conversation and see what you guys got.
Got it. Okay, yeah, for sure. Well, tell me about the household. Let's start with your husband. What is his date of birth?
So intro call seems super sweet. Like doesn't sound like crazy.
It's not off the rails just yet.
Yeah, play where it goes.
So first of all, and when I was on this call, like you can hear some kids in the background, and you're going to hear them louder later, but it doesn't, on the recording, it doesn't sound as loud as it was when we were in the moment. Like
really, it was louder.
It was like the children in the background are screaming at one point so loudly that I I was like, I can't even think. I don't even know what I'm going to say next, because like this is like unhinged. So
What do you think that the household income would look like for 2026?
Probably $150,000.
Okay. Perfect. And what is your zip code?
Keep going.
Because most plans are going to ask, like, do you have any treatments pending, or is there anything going on? And when they know that there's a potential for that, it's going to preclude him from getting any private options.
Okay, so let me take this back. I zipped past it because it was like zip code and some information, right?
Yeah.
But essentially, she says, no, we're all super healthy. And then she says, but my husband just had this thing and he may have melanoma. Well, y'all, that is the antithesis of, like, as a cancer survivor.
Yeah.
That's a cancer that is a very serious situation, right? And if any insurance company hears you have melanoma, your options drastically decrease of places that are going to take you, right? So as you start to hear this person get frustrated, that's part of her frustration, right? It's like, one, I think he got laid off and she's not thrilled about the situation.
Yeah.
And two, she thought this was going to be easy, and now she hears that because of this condition, and you see this happen a lot, right? Where a client will say like, well, I thought you couldn't like exclude anyone for health anymore, because that's what people hear what they want to hear. And it's like, no, private plans absolutely they still underwrite. So yeah, your health is going to come into consideration. So she already, like, her agitation is not necessarily with me, but it's starting to build, because she's pissed that he lost his job. She's pissed that they're in a situation for COBRA. She's pissed that she's the only income. Because even like later in the call, she's like, well, then he's just going to have to get a job before that. Like, you can tell, like, this is not about me. This is about whatever's happening in their household and like whatever. But again, kind of rowdy kids, like, it's already starting to go off the rails, because I'm starting to tell her now that, like, he has a melanoma. Like, that's not a great diagnosis. Like, we got to figure that part out. It's going to temper what I can show you for health insurance. So
the other part that is tricky for you guys is that California is tricky.
Our system came in and said she was from California because the phone number was from California. They're not in California. They're in another state. So that was a mix up here. But had she been in California, California is a tricky state for health insurance. So it would have also slimmed the pool down of what I could show her because of California. So.
All right. Awesome. Welcome. Well, that is me and genders. We don't qualify, unfortunately, for a subsidy, which means our plans for the family are starting at $11.37 a month, and they're going to go up from there. Hey, Emily, is this an okay time for you? It sounds like there's a lot going on around you. Is this a good time to get into all this with you?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to kind of get a sense here. I was under the impression that this is sort of like an alternative kind of approach to insurance with, like, you know, if you're kind of an alternative person who wants to see, you know, naturopaths and stuff like that. But it seems like this is just, like, what you're doing is basically what I can do view on the marketplace here.
Well, yes and no. I mean, yes, you certainly can go to the marketplace. I have lots of plans that you don't have access to. So, like, I'm happy to help. It's completely up to you. But it just sounds like there's a lot of chaos around you. I didn't know if this was, like, a good time to get into all of this.
Yeah, talk to me about the plans that I don't have access to.
Okay, well, so Emily, let's level set. I'm going to try to take you through all of it. I've got it. In order to be able to give you the other options, it's important to kind of put everything that's available to you on the table. So you got to kind of hang with me through some of this. I mean, this is an important part of your story, because you guys have these options, and if your husband has melanoma, everything changes. Like everything is going to be different for you, and this will be one of your only options. So it's kind of important to understand this.
What will be one of our only options? The antidote?
The marketplace will be one of your only options for him if it truly is a melanoma that he's dealing with. Even if it comes back and it's a basal cell or it's a squamous cell, he's probably going to have 5 years before he can be underwritten on a lot of private options. So
and how long can you do COBRA?
Up to 18 months.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he needs to get a job before then. Okay. Well, it seems like that's what we need to do then.
Okay.
Right?
Well, I mean, I don't believe so, but it doesn't sound like you want to go through this.
Ma'am, so. Yeah, I just looking for help. I'm not really looking to be sold here. I thought this was going to be a little bit of a different thing. So I'm just trying to understand, can we just, taking into consideration the melanoma, we're not looking at 1248 anymore on an Oscar plan. Is that correct?
No, Emily, I'm sorry.
Is that possible? Is it possible to get a plan for 1248 on this Oscar plan?
That is what this plan is, but I don't think I'm the right.
Okay. So it goes on, and I won't play her cussing at me, but she so again, a
lot happened there.
A lot happened. So she had a ton of frustration because of the situation that they were in. There was a lot of chaos. It was really hard to even get into and do my job. And she goes on, she said a couple things where she's kind of entitled throughout, and then she does more of it.
How does the call end though? I think that's spicy. That's like a hot take. Like, I just want to.
Well, the call ends with, I said, Emily, I'm really trying to do this. And she said, well, you're just showing me stuff that I can do on my own. I thought this was good. So she's kind of insulting me. I don't really need you. You're not really helping me. And I said, Emily, like, there's a way that we need to go through this. Like, you heard that part of it. And then I was like, Emily, like, do you want to get into this right now? Because there's a lot happening around you. And I know how this goes. Like, when there's that much chaos behind you and you're talking about really important subject matter, because as I was explaining to her, there were so many ways to go about this. Like, there's so many factors we need to take into account. If your family is close to your max out of pocket on your plan because he's been dealing with melanoma, then it probably means we actually need to just fight through and pay for Cobra, because if we go start anywhere else, it's going to start over. Like, trying to explain all of these things to her, and it might be that we put him on his Cobra plan and we put the rest of the family outside. Like, that's probably how it was going to need to go. But she wouldn't let me get there. And she was really trying to control the conversation, and she wasn't willing to just like let me do my thing. And it was really frustrating because we had very loud children in the background. And then she goes on to like, because the texts happen after. So I just said, Emily, like, I really want to be helpful to you. You're not, like, she kept cutting me off. Like, I couldn't get a word in edgewise. She was like constantly talking over me. She wasn't like letting me do my thing. And I was just like, Emily, I don't think that I'm the right person to help you with this. Because again, we were not set up for success from the beginning. She was telling me I was not really helpful. She could do what I was doing on her own. Kids were screaming in the background, and you didn't even get to hear like some of the, like, right before I say like, is this a good time for you? The kids were at their loudest pitch. Like, it was very distracting. And so later when she sends text messages and she's talking with like one of our appointment setters, and she's like, well, that was super disappointing. And like, she wouldn't answer my questions, and like just really had a very different take on it. But again, I wasn't set up for success. This wasn't going to go anywhere. And then she tells me, well, F you, and hangs up on me. And so that alone, if any agent was ever told like cussed at or sworn at or like disrespected, I would say like, we don't need their business. Like, we don't want to help this person, because it's a situation where it's going to be a nightmare from here forward. And then she goes on to very insultingly say to the appointment setter in like text messages after, she's like, this person was like chastising me or talking down to me. I never felt like I was, but that was her perception, is that I was talking down to her when I was like, is this a good time? Should we really get into this right now? And then she says again, insultingly, like, well, what she was showing me was stuff that I could do. And she said, this wasn't a work meeting, so why would you care if my kids were with me? And the appointment setter's like, it was absolutely a work meeting for our advisor, who had an appointment on their calendar during their work day to help you with a problem that you said you needed help with. But just like the way she was so entitled about it, like, I can do what you're doing. This wasn't a work meeting, so deal with whatever I bring you on this other end. I mean, she all the way throughout was giving like these, you work for me. I'm like so way entitled, and I'm just like, I am not here for that. Like,
yeah, no, I have a lot to take. So one, on like the high level stuff, like just from like sales and marketing, this is building it easy, is like, she didn't, based on her tonality, she didn't know, like, or trust us, because she just came from an ad, right? And this is unlock about content and stuff like that we've talked about, is getting the people knowing, like, and trusting us before it, which will make it really easier for our sales team. And also, if you're watching this and you're buying insurance with us, just like, we want to have a good experience. We don't want to have like a frustrating call. Like, we want to like help you solve your problem, because insurance is frustrating. And this is what I teach in my sales training with agents, which I think helps out on leads. Like, the only things I would have done different during that, this is why I follow like a very systematic framework, because I think it works when people don't know, like, or trust you, is one during we call the portion that Lori was in, part of the discovery. Like, we're trying to figure out their stuff so we can like solve the problem, is I won't make or comment about any recommendations that they give. So like, or any problems that they say. So melanoma, or doesn't matter, I need this medication or this covered or this. I'll just receive the information and keep asking questions. So I won't make, and I teach in my sales training, I won't give like any recommendation, because it's like a psychological thing from what I've experienced. If someone doesn't know, like, or trust you, and you're like, well, you can't get this thing covered, or it's going to be hard this, like, sometimes that shuts them off, and they won't listen for the full story about how to like solve the problem. And then the call can get off the rails when you have to take them through a journey to understand the whole market so they understand what to pick. So that was the only thing I would have changed there, is discovery. But like, that kind of compound each other just from like listening to that call, is like, she felt like when you said, oh, melanoma's serious, we got to get that covered, some plans cover it. Then she's like, well, hold on a second, I can do this on the side, and like, what are you doing here? This is supposed to be about alternatives. And so then the frustration just started stacking. And then I think Lori did something really cool. And I teach this in sales and just from a customer point of view. And this is how I want to buy something. If I'm frustrated with someone, or vice versa, if someone's frustrated while I'm talking to them, I'll try to stop and frame them out of that frustration before we continue. Because if both of us are frustrated, if you're frustrated with something, you can't receive the information to be helped. And so I try to be like, hey, I get you're frustrated. I'm just here to help. And so that way they'll lower their walls, because this person needed to understand that, like, with her husband, with this cancer situation, like, the marketplace for him might be his only solution after the Cobra, because if he has other stuff, other plans are going to decline that claim. And if he has major things happening, that could be 10, 50, 100K. But because she was frustrated on the opening, she wouldn't receive the information. The other thing I do is, I try not to give the recommendation until they can see the screen. What we teach in my sales training is really lay down the call. Like, here's who I am, here's where you came from, here's our reviews. And I just find it helps, like, really chill them out. So they'll sit there for 30 minutes so I can explain all the different stuff.
My experience is typically different, right? Because already in just that 10-minute call, you can tell that I'm an authority on the subject matter. I know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
So usually it doesn't take all of the, like, here are our reviews and here we are. Like, I mean, I do flash a picture of the family so they can know who they're talking to. But usually my insurance prowess is enough to, like, reset them and for them to come on the journey with me, because they know that I know what I'm talking about. And in that short amount of time, I showed her I know what I'm talking about. Like, okay, well, we're going to have to get creative with this. There are lots of different ways. And I really approach it like, I'm going to give you what all of your options are. You have Cobra for up to 18 months, but it's, the whole cost plus 2%. So it's going to be pretty pricey. That is option number one. But, this is what we can do. And that's what I was working her through, was like, there are lots of different ways we could get at this, but we had to go look at the marketplace to see because they were in that weird income place where maybe they were still going to qualify for something, maybe they weren't. So I had to go check that out to see. And then her frustration with the situation, and she starts kind of like talking over me and I also I've also been in that situation where my kids are super noisy in the background, or the dogs are super noisy, or like something else is happening, and that's kind of agitating me further. And I think she was dealing with a lot of that too.
Yeah, I think that, it helps. That was like, if it was really that loud, then you can't process information, like a really complicated situation, if like there's all this noise. Like, even when we film content, if there's noise around, we gotta like stop so we can deliver.
And I was totally trying, and that's what I said, like, Emily, let's level set. Like, let me explain this process to you. And tried to, like, pull her out of whatever funk she was in. But we were just at this place where this person was like talking over me all the time and wasn't hearing what I was saying and wasn't trying to, and then had all the chaos as well. And what I was going to attempt to do was say, like, is this not the best time? Let's schedule for when it's a time when you can give this the attention it needs, without saying that to her. But like, it sounds chaotic. Let's schedule for a time when it's less chaotic. Like, what time do the kids go to bed? I mean, if she was in Pacific time, we could have done it, whatever, at another time, figured it out. I guess it would have worked in reverse. It would have been super late for me and not as late for her. But like, I would have rescheduled it to when she could give it the attention that it needs and not feel pressured. But she was never going to let it get there. And then instead of like understanding that, she got defensive about the fact that it was noisy where she was at. It was chaotic. She didn't have control over the room. Like, and then she thought she understood insurance and she didn't. Like, when she proved that with the whole, like, I thought you couldn't, and that's a common misconception. Yeah. Like, I thought you couldn't, exclude people anymore. So it was just, there were so many reasons that it was like quickly going off the rails. And even when I tried to bring her back, and then I was just like, Emily, because I couldn't speak. Every time I spoke, she would talk over me and tell me why she could do it better. And what was I doing?
Well,
and
then
whatever.
You would give a piece of like, you would ask something, and then she would be like, just tell me, give me the options, tell me the other plans. And so you could tell in her tone that, like, and you were trying to frame her out of it, but she was in a place of frustration that she's not going to be able to like receive the information because she's frustrated and maybe overstimulated. Mom life,
completely,
overstimulated,
yes.
Yeah.
And so
we love the moms out there. Like, feel free to like,
for sure. And like, and who can relate to it better than me? There's chaos around me all the time. But instead of like saying like, because how I I imagine I would have received this would be like,
if you were her.
if I was her, I'd be like, you're right. I'm sorry. It is so chaotic. I don't know what these kids are on today. Can we schedule something when it's nap time? Or like, that's probably how I would have done it.
Yeah.
But instead she goes with like really kind of insulting me the whole way. She's like, I can do what you're doing.
She doesn't know, like, or trust you. But even if you don't like or trust somebody, you don't have to be mean.
No, you can be nice about it. And like, I'm really trying to be helpful and I'm giving you information. I'm already teaching you things that you didn't know, right? Like in that short amount of time, I taught her things she didn't know. She didn't know how long Cobra was, you could keep Cobra for. She didn't understand that there were companies that still did underwriting. So like already 2 pieces of information that I've given her that she didn't know going into the call. So like she could have been kind about it and just been like, yeah, I don't know what these kids are on. Like, let's schedule another time. And I would have given her that grace and I'd have been like, okay, and we'll come back to it and it'll be better and it'll be fine. But instead she went like really insulting. Like, I can do this myself. And it wasn't a work meeting. So why would you be upset that my kids were there? Ma'am, I don't care who's in the room, but I need you to be able to pay attention to what we're talking about because it's that important. And I don't want you to not understand. So she went kind of dark and ugly. Instead of, and then finally I just said like, we're not getting anywhere. Like, Emily, I'm not the right person to help you with this because you think you know everything and you're not like really receiving of this. And like, it's too,
yeah.
And so but then the crazy part was, I would think that we both could hear that it wasn't a good fit. And like, and then she tells me F you at the end. So like, I wasn't going to let anybody deal with her at that point. Like now you're crossing another line,
You've been
right?
banned.
She texts back in and she's like, well, put me with another advisor. And they're like, no, like we, and it got to a point where she just wouldn't take no for an answer. She goes, that's not acceptable. You need to get someone on the phone who can answer my questions. This person would not answer my questions. I didn't hear that. I heard her ask me several questions and I gave her the answer every single time. That is not what she took away from this. And she's like, no, put me on the phone with someone else. And finally, we're like, no, like we do not want to be of service to you. Like, we don't want your business. We don't want to help you because you've been abusive in this time and you didn't value our time. Like you said, it wasn't a work meeting. Why can't I do whatever I want? Why can't I be out on a roller coaster while we're taking this call? Like I can do whatever I want. So it was just crazy. But again, it takes a lot. I mean, that was 11 minutes. The total call was 11 minutes. And I really hung with her for all of that time. And then finally I just said, this is not going to work. Like I'm not the right person for you. Like,
yeah.
And from what you're telling me, you can do all this yourself. So go do it yourself.
Yeah. Put down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think, hot take, would you have done the same
Would you have powered through and do you want that person? And someone who's, I don't know. My thought is, again, I've been at this for a long time. When someone's that entitled and they know everything and they're like talking over me and being like really disrespectful, there's no amount of money that's worth that interaction. Like now I would have given her grace. I would have, I tried to say like, let's schedule this for a time when it's better for you. Like there's so much happening around you. I tried to do that. And she wasn't here for it. She was like,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
Absolutely not. We're going to do this now. Just tell me give me the information. And when people do you feel that too on a call when someone tries to force you into just give me the information? And I'm like, that is not the right way to do this process. So like you can certainly go find lots of agents that will do it that way. I wouldn't do business with any.
Because they're not really asking, like you're not really like, oh yeah, it's $500 and here's your deductible. Like that's not valuable. Like we need to come up with a solution. You're not actually asking for the information. You're just like trying to get off the phone, And so it's not going to actually benefit. Like we need to talk about it so it can like.
And you're going to be hot when it doesn't work the way you thought it was going to. And that's going to be a whole other can of worms. And so, yeah, I think there is a certain cadence and pattern that this has to take place in. And if she would have just been about it, like I would have shown her what all of her options were. I already was working through it in my head, like exactly what the right thing to do was. It was going to be probably either they weren't subsidized, so probably him on his Cobra plan because he's so close to his max out of pocket. Yeah. Her and the kids on a private option. And we would have saved tons of money. Everybody would have been in a better spot. It would have been a great thing. She could have written it off because she's self-employed. She could have written the expense off on taxes. Like there were so many other parts to this where I was going to save the day, but she just wouldn't have it. And then she totally shot herself in the foot because then I was like, ma'am, we don't need to help you. Like based on what you're telling me, you can do it all yourself anyway. So go do that because like this isn't good.
No, it's definitely crazy out there. But if you're building a sales team or if you need to buy insurance, like we want to help. but also we got to work together.
We do want to help. We just be nice about it. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna be nice, and yeah, like maybe lay off the sugar. Kids were
Their craziness.
wired. Yeah,
Crazy.
I mean, just being kids, but still, it was distracting. It was noisy. So,
Well, guys,
anyway.
it's been Building Ain't Easy.
Thanks for listening. Tell me if you would have done something different. Tell me if you would have hung with her. Tell me if I was too quick to cut it off. I don't feel like I was, but we do want to help you. Just come and be nice and like let's figure it out together.
Well, guys, we'll see you on the next one. I'm Dakota.
I'm Lori. Bye.